All right, the next game we have is the Cleveland Browns against the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's at the Cleveland Browns, and the current spread is -6.5 for the Bengals and 6.5 for the Browns. That is the current spread at the DraftKings Sportsbook, and there's for now sticking with Deshaun Watson, which has been atrocious, but that should be good for the Bengals and their fans, because I have a feeling if Jameis Winston came in, they'd be quite better looking at how Joe Flacco did really good for the Browns last year when Watson got injured. Because if you look at points per game in the last four, the Bengals are scoring around 30.5, and the Browns are scoring an average 15. But what's holding the Bengals back this season, as everyone should know, is that defense is giving up 27.5 points per game in the last four. They played better last weekend, so hopefully they can keep this up against this bad Cleveland offense because of Deshaun Watson, and they just traded away Amari Cooper, which isn't going to help Watson's problems. Passing yards per game is very low for the Browns, even though the Bengals are giving up 253 yards and in the air, but the Browns are giving up 205 in the air game, and the Bengals are throwing 275 in the air. So that's definitely leaning towards Bengals if they throw the ball. And rushing yards per attempt is horrible for the Browns at 4.1. The Bengals are at 5, and the defenses are pretty much even when it comes from rushing yards per attempt. Yards per attempt, the Bengals definitely are higher with 6.2 to the Browns 3.4. So the offense is really good, and both defenses are basically the same on yards per attempt. This is already leaning towards Bengals for a win, but to cover that in 6.5, um, it might take a lot, especially since it's in Cleveland, and the defense tends to show up better there. Uh, then we have points per play, which 1.5 for the Browns is horrible compared to Bengals 3.2. But the Bengals defense is 4, the Browns 3. So that tells you Cleveland is doing better in the red zone compared to the Bengals. And then let's look at total expected value, or total expected points, at -8 for the Browns to the 1.4 for the Bengals. That gives you a 9.4 spread for the total expected points. And if you go by that way of doing your bets, should be a bet for the Bengals. But if we scroll over here to the game cards, we have a projected win percent 68% for the Bengals. Our projected spread would be -5 for the Bengals when you mix in the offense and defense points per game. So that would make it not a bet, but total expected points does have this leaning toward the Cincinnati bet if you go by that way. I haven't tracked it all this year, so I'm not sure if that's profitable over time, but I'm guessing it is. You just have to pick the right margin. If there's a 2 point, difference, and you might bet it, or if it's a 5 point difference, you might bet it. I try to go from three to a three or over for sure, and a little of it has to do with home and away. But if you look at these game cards, it is all green but turnovers, and they're 1.3 and 1.2, which are basically even. So this is definitely a Cincinnati game to win. The Browns are playing horrible, but to get to that -6.5 spread, um, they're going to have to score points against the Browns defense, where Cleveland plays good at home. So we'll see if Bengals give up any points. They're hoping Watson plays because the Bengals defense should be just fine against him unless he decides to show up and play. That's it for this game, and I'll see you in the next video.